Okay, so back to our footage. We're gonna add the final shot here on this timeline, the summer resort shot. So I'm gonna go ahead and double click it, activate it into the source monitor. I'll set an in point and just an arbitrary out point. And then I'm gonna drag it in and set it at the very end of our sequence here. Go ahead and click play and move the camera around while we do, and whoa, what is this? Looks like a black hole. Why did that happen? Remember how I said that it's important to understand the sequence settings as well as the frame rate of your video footage? Well, unfortunately, this clip, the summer resort shot, is not in the same resolution as the rest of our clips. And I can prove that to you by coming over here into our media bin. I'll just move this stuff out of the way so we can really get a feel of what's going on. And notice how if I just scroll to the right here, I've got all of the information about every single clip. And right here, under the video info, we see that the summer resort shot is set to 2160 by 1080, which essentially means it was not shot as the rest of our clips, which are 3840 by 1920. So what can we do about this? Are we completely out of luck here? Or can we manipulate this in some way to make it work? Well, thankfully there is a way to fix this. Adobe has created a really cool little effect that will allow us to fill the frame even though it's a different resolution. So I'm gonna go to the top right corner so we can access our effects tab. And I'll just give this little dual arrow a click and click on effects. This pulls up all of our effects and plugins that are built into Adobe. And I'm gonna scroll down until I get to video, and inside the video folder we have the VR projection. And in fact, just a quick tip, we can always just type in VR right here and that'll do the same thing. So there we have the VR projection. I'm gonna take this effect and just drag it and drop it right onto the summer resort shot. And you'll notice that once I add it, automatically it fixes this clip so that it looks like it was shot in the same resolution. And in fact, I'll go ahead and rewind so we can play it. So no more black hole. Now let's go ahead and dive a little deeper into this. If I click on the effects controls over here in the source window, I'll be able to see all of those effects that are built into the summer resort shot. And now I can manipulate any of the outcomes that this particular effect gives me. Just by default, it looks great. But if I needed to, I could always tweak the panning or the tilt or the roll according to how much it needs to be changed or fixed. I will advise you that in most instances, these controls are a little wonky. In other words, they're not fully perfect. And in fact, that's why we're going to be going over a different set of plugins called the Skybox plugins. But for now, this is a new feature that Adobe has added in, and it really does work wonders for those times when you just need to make a quick fix. You'll notice that the stretch to fill frame option is the only thing we're really using in here. In fact, if I uncheck this box, you'll see the before, where we had that black hole. And then by clicking the stretch to fill frame back on, it completely fills it in. Now, you might be asking yourself, that's pretty cool, John. You added in the clip and then you stretched it out so that it would actually fit in this 4K sequence. But by doing that, you ask yourself, doesn't that actually reduce the quality because you're stretching the clip? And that is actually an excellent point. The truth is, yes, we will be reducing the quality of this clip because we've had to upscale it in order to have it match the rest of these clips. So let's explore a second option. Downscale the bigger clips instead of upscaling the smaller clips. And the reason for that is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. When you upscale something, you're stretching it and you're going to degrade the quality. When you downscale a large clip, it doesn't degrade the quality. In fact, it just preserves it. So let's try something here. I'm going to go back to the first initial sequence that we created, the summer resort sequence. I'll double click it to load it up in the sequence window. And then I'm just going to take one of our shots here. I'm going to drag it into the timeline. And notice what happens because this particular sequence has a different resolution setting. When we play the street intersection clip, which has a larger resolution, we get a weird warping feeling. We can see the stitching, and in fact, it doesn't make any sense. It looks like the roads are falling into each other. So how do we fix this? Well, again, we're going to use our VR projection tool. So inside the effects panel, yet again, I'll just drag this VR projection on top of the street intersection clip, and when I do that, boom, it automatically fixes it. So I think it's important to mention again, if you find yourself in a scenario where you have a ton of footage and a lot of the footage is in a lower resolution than some of the other footage, my advice would be to downscale or conform all of the bigger resolution files to the smaller resolution. And I say that because when you upscale footage, it degrades the quality. When you downscale footage, it preserves the quality. Having said that, if you do find yourself in a scenario where you have to upscale the clips, like in our example here where we only have one clip that's smaller and all the rest are big, we have two options. We can either, one, completely eliminate the clip because we don't need it, or two, we could keep the clip and then, of course, do a little post-processing on it, like sharpening it up or giving it a little digital makeup, if you will, so we can cover up and preserve the quality even though it's upscaled. And in fact, we are going to do that. We're going to keep our clip of the summer resort shot right where it's at inside of that upscaled resolution sequence, and instead of eliminating it, I'm going to introduce the Skybox 360 VR toolbox and show you exactly how those tools can save us from those types of scenarios.